after 2 fights ending in arrests at the Big E Fairgrounds this weekend. We're taking a closer look at security measures keeping attendees safe.
Western Mass News reporter Olivia Hickey joins us live in West Springfield after getting answers.
Abby and Chris, from bag checks to heavy emergency responder presence, officials here at the fair say the safety of guests is of utmost priority.
2 fights, 4 arrests, and 2 trespass notices, all happening inside the Big E on Saturday.
It's a shame that they have to put a black eye on it for everybody else, and make people feel that it's unsafe. But
according to West Springfield Police, the first incident was around 5 p.m. Officers were called to a fight between multiple people on Industrial Avenue, leaving multiple people injured, some requiring medical attention, and were transported to an area hospital. 48-year-old James Stanley of Haverhill and his 33-year-old son Levi Stanley of Amherst, New Hampshire, were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct, malicious destruction of property, and assault and battery. The elder Stanley faces an additional unarmed robbery charge after police learned he had stolen items from at least one of the assaulted victims. Both men were issued trespass notices from the fair. Several hours later, around 11 p.m., when the fair was closing for the night, police tried to de-escalate a conflict near Gate 5 where many people were exiting the fairgrounds. Officers tried to separate Springfield residents 30-year-old Kenneth Malone and 36-year-old Khalif Muhammad. Malone punched Muhammad in the face in front of officers. Malone was placed under arrest for assault and battery. Muhammad was arrested for disorderly conduct after he continued using fighting words, yelling obscenities, and tried to push past police to get to Malone. After the weekend brawls, Western Mass News is taking a closer look at security precautions in place at the annual fair. According to the Big E's website, weapons are not allowed. Metal detectors are used at every entrance, and bags are subject to search. Fair security and West Springfield's police and fire departments are on site 24 hours a day during the fair. When we spoke with the Eastern States Exposition President and CEO Gene Cassidy ahead of opening day, he says they're also watching social media closely as a precaution.
Social media drives negative behavior, and we're not exempt from that.
Fairgoers we spoke with, like Mike Dialesi, say they feel safe attending the Big E every year. As an EMT, he offers this advice to people: don't get involved in conflict, but know what to do if someone is hurt.
Learn first aid and CPR, so if something does happen when a scene is safe, to maybe help somebody.
West Springfield Sergeant Joseph LaFrance from the police department says they will continue to monitor safety needs of the fair throughout the 17-day run of the fair. And he emphasizes that the department is fully staffed here and that the fair is safe for guests. Reporting live in West Springfield for Western Mass News, I'm Olivia Hickey.